Okay, so today I'm doing kind of a requested care video on Porcellio Ornatus. These are my Ornatus yellow dot, or the southern, darker variety of Ornatus. But there's a pretty big female, I believe, right there. Or no, are you a male? Generally, you can tell the males from the females. The males have much longer little tail thingies on the end. I forget what they're called. But this care video will apply to pretty much any of the larger Spanish isopods, the drier isopods. So just to think of a few, this will cover magnificus, hoffmannseggi, flavomarginatus, expansus. This will pretty much do for all of them. But basically, these guys, they like it more on the drier side. So most of my isopods, I have pretty deep substrate, deeper than this, and I keep one half of the substrate like pretty damp, and then the other half just a little bit moist. But none of the substrate is dry for my other isopods. But for these, most of the enclosure is bone dry. There's just this corner right here where all this bark and stuff, this general, maybe like 1/3 of the cage, that corner is the moist corner, and that's a little bit damp, not soaking wet by any means, and that is their little damp corner, but everything else is bone dry, and that's generally how these guys like it. They like to self-regulate their moisture content. Too much and they will I guess suffocate from too much water in the air, and too little and they'll dry out. So you got to have that one corner. Do not keep the whole thing moist, otherwise you'll suffocate them, and yeah, that's no good for these guys. But yeah, as far as like what they eat, or the substrate is peat, and then it's basically peat moss, rotting wood, and rotting leaves all mixed together. And then on top they have another layer of leaf litter. It's oak, maple, poplar, alder, loquat, magnolia, that type of stuff. Yeah. What else? I also give them fish food, like there's actually one stuck to the glass, the fish pellets. They like the fish pellets. These guys, generally speaking, the Spanish Porcellio species, they like more protein, whereas like my Armadillidium species generally like more plant matter and stuff. But these guys definitely like their protein. You want to up the protein for them, especially if you're using them as like a bioactive thing. These guys would do well in a drier bioactive enclosure. If you're not going for tropical, you want something a little bit more temperate, these guys would work. But you definitely want to give them their protein. That way they're not munching on any of your other animals, because they get pretty they get pretty rough when they're hungry. They'll eat just about anything. They're like little piranhas. At least like something like scaber is. These guys aren't quite as bad, but they definitely like their insects and their meats and whatnot. They like butternut squash, sweet potato. I give them rapashi morningwood. Excuse my rooster, he's annoying. These guys are a very active species. I really like them for that. You're always going to see at least a couple of them roaming around. Very prolific. They breed quite fast. There's a little baby running around. I'll get a view from the top. This is a 10-gallon. I also should mention that these guys need a lot of ventilation. If you're going to use a tub, definitely have like a lot of screen on the top, and I would also recommend cross ventilation, but obviously you can't on this tank. And even though I don't have it, it still works pretty well. I don't have any issues with ventilation, or they all seem to like it pretty well. Let's see if I can. Oh wow, there's a bunch of little babies. recent explosion of babies. It's pretty nuts. This colony does very, very well. They could be an excellent feeder too, just because of how quickly they breed. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, big fan of this species. Big fan. I would definitely recommend adding them to your collection, your isopod collection. If you'd like me to show you any more, I totally can, of like the other Spanish isopods. I have a lot of them. I don't have all of them. I keep a lot of Armadillidium species. I'm only recently getting into more of the Porcellio species. I just ordered some Specialatus, which are pretty cool. I also have carpets, hoffmannseggi, magnificus. I have those too, but not in as great a number as these. These are just more fun to show off because there's tons of them. But yeah, I really like this species. Definitely a good one to have. Oh yeah, look at that on the magnolia leaf. I like their little yellow dots. There are high yellow ones. I believe it's like theorized, at least, that they're a separate subspecies or species than these southern ones. But I'm not a taxonomist, so I won't comment on that. That's just what I've heard. But yeah, definitely recommend getting these guys. Good as feeders, good bioactive for dryer enclosures, and if you want an isopod that's going to be out a lot and you're going to see a lot, this is it. Like, I don't know any other isopods, maybe other than flavomarginatus. Flavomarginatus or another Porcellio that's out a lot, but these guys I think are out even more than flavomarginatus. So definitely good. Cuttlebone, very important. They need tons of calcium for their shells since they're reproducing very quickly and growing very quickly. You can also see there's a feeder roach in there for them. I kind of severed its head a little bit, so that way it's paralyzed more or less, and then I leave it in there and they eat it overnight. They're very good scavengers. They'll even start to eat at it when it's alive too. They're pretty nuts like that. Pretty hardcore. Isopods are awesome. They're just like land crustaceans, and they act just like them. They'll eat just about anything, process just about anything. Yeah. Definitely recommend these guys. They're great for display. If you need some, hit me up. I got some. There's several hundred in here, and I'm always down to give people starter cultures, and even like a small starter culture of like 12 will very quickly turn into a lot of isopods. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Take it easy.